One of my students in my fundamentals class asked me to do a short video of how to walk to the cross. She's very new to tango and, like most people, is finding the cruzada pretty difficult as a beginner's move. As I always say in my classes, I wouldn't teach the cruzada in my beginning class if it weren't that everyone else does, because frankly, it's a very complicated little move. You can cheat and kind of memorize it and do it at the beginning, but in reality, it takes a little bit of work to get just right. Main thing about the cruzada is you want to think about the fact that you are displacing one leg. You're basically wrapping one leg around the front of the other leg and adjusting your weight from one foot to the other. If I'm doing that while I'm walking, here, wraps around and unwinds. If the leader's leading me though, a lot of times the leader is trying to tell me to go to the cross by pushing me sideways. This means I know that someone wants me to cross, but it's pretty difficult because what I need to do is have this foot cross in front of my other foot. So basically you have your foot, your other foot. Instead of having your foot come here, the leader is sending your foot to the other side of your foot. So that angle is a very narrow angle. It's only as wide as your foot at the end of that sort of triangle of stepping. So what I have people do is practice straight back and come forward. And then narrow diagonal and adjust. Straight back, narrow angle. Find out what angle is not narrow enough. The reality is if you're taking an angle where you feel like you have to push off sideways, it's not very comfortable. So as a leader, I try to lead an angle that feels like a back step to the follower, but by the time their leg frees up, it becomes a diagonal. One of my students who's a builder says this is 12 degrees. I'd say 12 to 20 degrees off of your line of dance is a good amount to lead the cross. It has to be long enough that, again, if it's this short, I can't get my foot past. It has to be a long enough step to adjust my foot. And it has to be a wide enough step to avoid my foot. In reality, that's a pretty narrow angle. I usually have my followers practice crossing forward and back and to the right and to the left. So you have all four 12 to 20 degree angles and all four lateral shifts. You get that idea of how the cross works. And as a leader, once you understand how the cross works, front, back, right, and left, you can add them in all over your dance with relatively few problems from the followers. So I go back, small angle, unwind. Back, and when I say unwind, I have that lateral shift, allows my whole leg to get free. Back step, lateral shift, allows my whole leg to get free. Other direction, back, whole leg gets free. Small angle, cross, leg gets free. Notice the lateral cross part of the cruzada. So from here, in order to get me to completely step on my front foot, I have to shift laterally just a tiny bit, and that frees up my other leg. That's the same if I go forward. Both feet are down. To finish my step, I have to shift laterally to get my foot free. This is the same amount, right or left, same amount front or back. So the angle of my step and the lateral shift are the same, right or left, either direction. If you practice all four, all of them will get easier, and the one that you use the most will feel so much easier than the other three that it really helps out. Let's look at the cruzada in terms of geometry. If you're going down the room, let's say this is line of dance, That straight line allows the follower to walk. If you want a cruzada, you have to do enough of an angle off to the side that you have a qualitative difference between the two. So it signals the follower, A, this isn't a regular walk, be prepared for something else. So that angle is going to be different. You're also going to want to take a slightly bigger step because since this is a triangle, in order to go the same amount down the room, you have to take a slightly longer step for that diagonal. So when I say bigger step, I don't mean huge. It just has to be a tiny bit bigger than the regular step. The other thing I suggest is just a little bit more energy, which I call vroom. In general, what I tell people in my class is imagine you're going through a yellow light and there's a police car on the other side of the intersection. You don't want to shove and go as fast as possible down the room. Just enough energy to go up and over and get to the cross. When I'm leading across, I want to make sure that this angle clears the follower's step. So here's their foot that you're crossing over. So it has to be wide enough to clear that. We're going to aim for 12 to 20 degrees. A lot of times people lead me way over here. Bigger angle makes it more difficult for the follower to be able to complete the step you've asked for and to stay on balance. Make this angle as small as you possibly can in order to get the cross from that follower. And there's one more thing. Once your follower gets to the cross, you have to help the follower change feet. So there's a small lateral adjustment. It's not a twist. You have the follower's feet, one's crossed in front of the other. Twisting them will not get this foot free. Putting the follower's weight onto the front cross step will adjust the back step. So you have an angle difference, a bigger step, a little bit more energy, and then a small lateral move at the end to get the cross. All of that has to be timed correctly to make the cross easy. So the cross is not an easy step. I like to remind my leaders that followers are not robots. If you lead the same move exactly the same on every follower, it will not always work. So on different days, we have different amounts of energy, different amounts of balance, and each person is different. When I lead, what I try to do is figure out what kind of angle I need to lead for the cross for that person, when I need to do the lateral shift to help them onto balance, how long they need after that to get ready to do the next step on balance. So for each person, I'm looking for the absolute best timing. Cruzada is about timing. That's why it's difficult. It's very subtle. It's a great move, but you need to practice it and you need to feel that exact timing, that finesse of getting just the right angle, just the right timing to make this work for your partner. If you practice the slow motion, you'll be able to do it fast, slow, with pauses. There's not just one way to use the cross in music. So as you practice it, put on different music, practice going different speeds, practice being able to stop after you've unwound or shifted at the cross so that you are really on balance on every single part of the move. And this will help you a lot. Thanks for watching. See you next time.